Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. What I'm going to do is share with you the process that we have done to actually accomplish this task that is given to us. So as you have seen, our company profile and our clients, we specialize in digital banking. And our goal is to bring the banks to a digital space without changing their legacy systems. And Rubix is designed specifically to cater for situations where different integrations are required to for specific use cases that you actually need to do. So to accomplish this, we have utilized the latest technology across the globe, which is now being used in the likes of Revolut Bank, Netflix, and Uber. Using this technology is not alone, right? So the question is, how does this technology help with the solution? Firstly, it is the ease of integration. It is future-proof, which means that it is portable. So it is very easy to deploy to banks. It is end-to-end digital, which means that the digitization goes all the way to the bank operations and in the front end as well. And from the central bank, the file upload, everything is automated and digital. We are always looking at innovative solutions, which is why we're always bringing in technology to actually bring in the innovation. We keep the dynamic workflows within the bank. So each bank can have its own version of their workflow. So if there's anything that is changing, if there's anything that they need, they can actually change that directly. We have robotics integrated for file uploads and anything, but robotics is not every solution, right? So we need to make sure that the digitization is coming from the APIs and at every level. And robotics is mainly used for our mundane tasks, which are basically file uploads and when the users are not available. And finally, the security of the solution, where it is paramount for us that we take all the steps to make sure the aspects of security are in place for the customers. And using this technology, we are using near zero coding, which means that our solution does not require us to change anything in the code itself. The customers can automatically do that themselves whenever they are updating anything. So I'll just go into the solution that what actually we did. So all of this technology that you see here fits and gets wrapped into a container, which is it's a very simple deployment to all the banks. So all the banks will have this deployment in place. It will be running inside the bank premises or in cloud if they require. We have designed the solution to provide the banks with timely updates of this block and unblock customer requests coming from the central bank. So running the system is simple, but changes are also important. And we understand that requirements can be changing. So what we have done is from central bank side, we are going to manage the standard file format. We have a complete continuous deployment process to all the banks where banks do not have to worry about what is the format changes that are coming from the central bank, because there can be changes, there can be new use cases coming in. And the bank mapping is done for each bank separately, which stays within the bank and they're linked to their core systems and any other systems that are there. So what we do is whenever there's a file format, anything that is changing, we deploy automatically to all the banks. They all get updated at the same time. So the banks do not have to worry about updation or anything, any processes that are coming from there. The integrations and workflows also will be kept on premise. So which means that once we have integrated into the bank's core systems, or the banks have done that on their side, any changes that are coming in will be automatically mapped to the new requirements. We also cover, and this will also require no need for their IT to do it. So they can do it themselves. The business users can actually do that themselves. We also cover both retail and corporate customers, including corporate shareholders, signatory blocking. So if there's any shareholders who are there which needs to be blocked, we can actually locate them, find them in corporate customers, and actually update the company if it is blocked or unblocked. And this can all be done through these workflows that we create. Also for scalability, we have covered scalability in two ways. One is basically performance scalability, which is automatic. The nodes that we are running, because it is all the technology is using Kubernetes, it actually is automatically creating nodes during peak performance and decreasing the nodes based on user requirements. So the bank does not have to worry about giving additional resources or anything. It is all handled within the, I would say, box itself. So it is all within the box. Secondly, the scalability is in terms of the solution comes from the open solution and new features that can be added. So any new additional features that are coming in, like GCC nationals are now also allowed to open banks over here. So how's that blocking going to come in? So it's not just a file upload. You might need to connect to other providers as well. which if you require a robotic solution for it, the problem is that you'll have to change it in each bank for new requirements that are coming in. The important feature for us is that that is not required from our side. We do the format change. The mapping of the bank integrations are already done in place. So any new requirements coming in, it is a seamless integration. We do the testing, we deploy it to the banks, and it is automatically working. So in overall, the solution will provide them with ease of connectivity for each of the banks. Minimum.
Sorry, Aion, I have to interrupt you. Apologies.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the time. And
thank you, Aion. Let's leave the floor for the questions. Judges, the floor is yours.
Did you serve some of the banks here in Bahrain?
Yes, absolutely. So we have our KFH Bahrain as our customer, which we do the full Jazeel banking solution in place, which is a fully digital front end and a digital experience for the customers.
What other banks? Only KFH?
So we have other banks in Kuwait as well, in Dubai as well, and we are doing corporate banking as well for them as well. Corporate
okay,
banking.
so regarding KFH, you are doing just issues related to KYC and so on, or it is included also blocking?
Everything, the full digital experience. So which means
I mean,
that
including like blocking, unblock, and so on.
So no, so we don't do blocking, unblocking for them from central bank. That is not our role right now. But we are doing other things like credit card blocking. So we are doing the KYC, the AML process updates, which is the.
No, this one is different. It's different issues. You know, blocking is different than KYC and so on.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and specifically in the blocking, where do you have experience on such what we call services?
So specifically for blocking of accounts, we are doing it based on dormant accounts. So we have experience within the bank itself to actually block accounts or unblock accounts based on their account activity itself.
Where?
Not from an outside provider, no.
Okay. And what about, like solutions regarding, like implementing these, like orders 24/7 during the weekends and so on? What is your solutions?
Yeah, so solution basically is running 24/7 in weekends, everything. So the automation part is the file upload, which we will be doing completely.
Do you have any idea about the size? How many like a blocking order received per day?
So that is the best part. Our solution does not actually matter what is the size, because the solution automatically increases or decreases the size based on the load. So it doesn't matter. It will automatically detect the performance is coming to a peak, and it will automatically trigger more nodes to actually cater for that. So it is completely automatic. No IT department has to look at that. If extra load is coming in, they need to provide it.
What about like human intervention?
So we have a full workflow management for exception handling. So if the file upload is not working, or if anything is not working, there's a full manager process and a dynamic process which each bank can change for themselves. So they can add multiple levels of managers, they can add multiple levels of signatories within that to cater for exceptions. And if there's an exception, they can approve it directly there, and it can submit it. Like if the ID is not matching, you could not find a customer or anything that is going on, they can update it manually.
Okay, thank you so much.
I have a few questions from my end. The first question is, what is the mechanism that you're going to be using to validate the individual customers as well as the corporate customers, those that there are like order requests against? So like the validation process, that's my first question. My second question is, where will the solution be sitting or hosted? Is it going to be on the cloud, or is it going to be on-premise within the financial institutions ends? My third question is with regards to the disaster recovery, system availability when there is like a disaster or an interruption. What backup mechanisms do you have in place there?
Yeah, so the solution is completely, so it can be on cloud as well based on the bank's requirements. So we deploy it as a container. So the container can be deployed within the bank itself. We do the deployments through cloud. So our deployment process is through cloud, which means that it deploys automatically through cloud, but the actual data and the actual system is sitting within the bank's premise itself. So banks do not have to worry about updating it. We are updating it, but it can be sitting in their premises, and that is where the security also comes in place. Everything comes in place from there. Sorry, what was your first question? I forgot that.
So my first question was with regards to the mechanism that you're going to be using to validate
Yes.
The customers.
Yes, absolutely. So what we are doing right now is that our validations go across the different levels of details that are coming in. So even for eKYC or anything like that, we are checking CPRs. We also are validating GCC nationals as well. So we know the formats of different types of IDs that can come in, and we validate it with the systems or within the bank itself. So we have API integrations within the bank to validate all the information that is coming in from the central bank.
And my final question with regards to the system availability in this, disaster recovery. And I have another question also with regards to security and encryption.
Yeah, so the system availability is based on each bank itself. Again, banks will actually provide their infrastructure or DR systems to actually run this process in. So they will have their own DR process. So we actually fit into their DR process. It's not that we need to include, but as soon as their deployment fails, they can pull our deployments directly from there. And because it's a bank-specific update, they will get the update straight away. So the disaster recovery is completely seamless from our side. And from the security and encryption point of view, we take that very seriously. All our processes which are on-premise are secured. And we also look at the requirements for customers' data as well. So customer data is all encrypted in transit and also on record as well. So whenever we are storing information in the banks, we are storing the customer information as encrypted as well. And we have the encryption keys also sit with the bank itself. So they know that what are the encryption keys. Even we do not know what is the encryption keys for decrypting these IDs, but they never come out of on-premise. So the solution still sits in on-premise. So the data sits completely within the bank itself.
I would like just to ask about the integration option for update the bank response back to CBB blocking system. How you will update the response there?
Yeah, so we have multiple ways of connectors that we have available. We have file uploads, we have direct API integrations that can update the status back. So we have status back applications available that can update the status from both sides, from bank side and from the CBB side, to make sure that everything is validated and confirm that yes, transaction or the block unblock has been processed successfully. So it can be done in multiple ways. We expect that if there's API integration, at some point you might actually get to an API integration where you can actually connect it directly to the system and update it. But at the point of if it's a file process that is there, we can actually validate the file and check it and update it into the CBB system.
Just one question. So you mentioned that you'll standardize the file format in the beginning, right? So during this process, do you have access to the customer data?
Not at all. So we basically are standardizing the format based on the CBB's requirement that this will be the standard format coming from the central bank. The mapping that is done for the bank itself, the mapping from the other side, that what will be the standard format that is matching to that format in the bank. We have already connected to various different bank formats and the core banking systems. So that is the mapping that we do. The data itself, and we understand that, what type of data format that are there. For example, that, when a Kuwaiti ID comes in, we know that their ID is very different because they have a letter in it. They don't have a full number. So these are the things we already know how the mapping is going to place. So it's not necessarily that we need to have the data, but for test, we always use some data for testing, not for live.
Yes. So in production, you will not have, the data will be encrypted, as you said.
Yes,
So
data will be encrypted and will be kept within the bank itself. So we do not have access to any data from the bank.
And in transit as well. So during the, okay.
So in transit, we are doing only the production release there. So once the release is on premise, everything stays within the bank.
Okay, and the last thing is just to confirm that this system will not require any change on the CBB side.
Not at all. That we will cater for everything that the CBB provides. So if it's an Excel file that they are giving, it's a download of a specific format, XML format that they're giving, we will cater for that. And if at some point there's an API connectivity, we can do that as well. So all the availability are there.
Sure.
I have one final question from my end. Is there going to be any audit trail feature in place?
Yes, very good question. I missed that actually, but yes, there's a full audit trail of every transaction that is done. You can roll back transactions as well. So the audit trail can be looked at, and it can show that what are the different steps that have been taken. So if there are any exceptions that are going in, we actually cater for the person who are involved and full audit trail of the steps that were taken at every point.